Let's see if they're telling the truth on that one. Hello, everybody. I know nobody's here yet, but that's okay because I'm here. Paul's here, and we're just going to chat while we wait on people. And we both like to read. And I don't know if his wife's going to join us or not, but if so, that's another reader feature.
I'm hiding.
So, anyway, what's your favorite book so far this year?
So far the year, the book, actually this is the first book I've read all year.
Yeah. Well, then I guess that's your favorite.
Well, there's one I wanted to get, but I didn't have the money to get it for in the. I can't afford the actual book, but I wanted to get it on Kindle, but I never, for some reason, I never got it. And that's the Bentley Little one, DMV. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna get that one.
I got a couple of Lisa Jacksons, and I don't know if I read any of them yet.
Oh, her books are pretty good. My favorite one is Come Home.
Yeah, my wife's a Lisa Jackson fan, but I figured since she's read it, I'll at least read one of them just to see what they're like.
I mean, I heard nothing but good stuff about her. So,
what would you think? A new thriller type, Erica, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just.
From what I understand, it's like a mystery thriller.
Yep, that's it. Mystery thriller.
Hey, Mary, how you doing?
I can't see the chat, so hello.
One of my mods came in. So,
one thing I will say about Lisa Jackson books, almost all of her books are pretty long. I don't think that's
how long. What I call normal is 500 and some pages.
Well, I don't think I've seen a book that she has that's under 500 pages.
Right.
So that's what I call by a decent book.
Right. Good, Mary. I'm glad to hear that. Now, the book I'm reading right now, I just started it. I'm only on the second chapter, and that's Kim Harrison's American Demon. And right now, it's a slow book, but doesn't mean it won't pick up. It just means right now it's slow. I mean, I know now sometimes I've read into books that started slow and stayed slow all the way through until like the last chapter. Hey, Amy, how you doing, hon? But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it because I've read most of her books that's in the series. I just haven't read the spider legs that stretches out from it.
Well, remember, if it's slow, that just means you got to pick it up more often.
Well, what I'm starting doing is Monday, Tuesday, like that. There, I'm going to be reading it on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I hope I can get done with it in the first 4 days. That way, next week I can pick up a new one. And then the Saturday, and Sunday, I read a definite book. But this is one of the books from Kim Harrison that I'm really looking forward to in 2005. It's a new series of hers. It's the Shadow Age series, and it's called 3 Kinds of Lucky. Now, did you guys read this one?
Mm-mm. I haven't read any of her other series.
No, I wanted to get some of her other series, but that was
this one here is one of her new. This here is one of her newer ones, and it's luck is its own kind of magic in this first book, an electrifying new commentary fantasy series from the author of the #1 bestselling Hollows. So it's about It's about Petra Grady, and she's too scared. She's either too scared or she blocked out how to use her magic.
Okay.
And
The cover just showed it.
this is
Show
one
the
of the
cover
ones
again.
I got from. Now, usually when I pick up new Kim Harrison's, it's from my sci-fi club. I pay less there than I do.
Yeah,
if I-
definitely.
Erica wants to know when you finish it, what do you think of it? Because that's one of the ones that she wanted to try out.
Well, hold on. There's something new coming to Reed's Retreat in 2025. And so, what's your second book that you're reading?
Actually, I found it today at a free library. I know most people don't, whether you read the Bible or not. It is a thick one, 832 pages. It's the comic book version of the Bible. Now, when I was younger, I had one half this size in 3 volumes that had a red cover that were each like almost 400 pages each. Well, now I found the full volume today.
Awesome.
And it's the actual story. It's meant for kids, but hey, I love comic books, so.
Right. Yeah, Amy, it's a new series. Now, another book I'm reading. Let me get some of this stuff moved away. I'm putting books. I'm putting books where I don't want them. Is if people have been following me, you know I've been reading the Talisman. And boy, was this book a boring read until it got up in the 200s. I was totally bored and wanted to quit, but refused to. But after we got in the 200s, it started picking up. There are 700 and some pages to this.
And if you didn't know, I read this one from the library 2 days.
Awesome.
It's volume 797 to 800. It just came out like a week ago.
Yeah, they have Bible like that, Mary. They've had it since we was kids.
And I'll be one of these people. I was bored with the Bible till I went to garage sale and found those 3 red cover comic book versions. That's how I got into it. Otherwise, I was bored of it.
Right. I mean, a lot of people are, and a lot of people are bored of books and don't want to read books. But like, I have a friend. When he was a kid, he couldn't get him to read a book. But he read H out of comics, and now he's reading books. They had to read books so he could comprehend it all without forgetting what he read.
I was like that when I was young.
Yeah, and I did read that first Kim Harrison comic book. I'm trying to get the second one, but it got to be too expensive. It's only on sale for like 1 month of the year.
Right.
It's a comic book graphic. It's like an in-between of other novels. Like the first graphic novel of the Kim Harrison book, it takes place right after her first book.
No, it took place before, Paul.
Oh, before her first book.
It was when she first met Ivy.
Yeah, it's how she first met Ivy is the first graphic novel.
Okay, so you might as well say they're doing more of a in-between comic book.
Yeah, and the second one, from what I understand, it's like 3 or 4 books later. It's like an in-between.
Oh, and there's other ones too, Yankee. There's other books, her short stories. There are, if you read her short stories, they'll tell bits and pieces like how Ivy used to date Kirsten.
Okay, I have her short story book.
I had 2 of them. So you gotta find if you look around, you can find the whole story. It's hard to find them though.
Right. Well, what I could do for you once you guys get in place is I have some doubles of the Hollow series.
Ooh, I know that.
Start getting that picked up again.
You're definitely going to make her happy on that because she's terribly upset she lost the whole series.
I lost all of B.C. Andrew books. I lost all of Kim Harrison books. There's a
Yeah, and that's the weird thing. She had all but the last V.C. Andrew books, and she had all the original copies for her whole collection.
Awesome, Amy. Mary says, I've heard of the Ivan book. So some of them are still talking about it. Just been Amy. And Amy loves fantasy. Now, here's what I think. Yes, urban fantasy is part of it and the shoot off from fantasy. But I think these things like Goodreads and Storygraph and stuff like that should have been focused on separate. Instead of, because right now, fantasy and urban fantasy is counted as fantasy. And personally, I don't know how many urban fantasies I've read and how many fantasies I've read separately.
Well, I did have a question for you. I noticed some of the urban fantasy, it's marked urban fantasy, but it seems to be more paranormal romance, or they kind of do a little both.
Right. And Mary don't understand fantasy. You have to have a good imagination, Mary. Mary likes your historical fiction. Now,
Okay.
Now, next year, I'm also looking forward to the second book of the Talisman, which is Black House. And it's a nice short one.
Nice, smart one. I had the hardcover version of Black House, and I had never opened it. That's what made me mad, because I never opened it because I never had the Talisman, and I wanted to read that first.
It is a short one, though. It's only 661 pages.
Oh, you did? Oh, come on. You can add 4 more pages and make it for a Halloween 666 version.
But I'm looking forward to this, because this sounds better than the Talisman. Because this is after he gets older.
He's trying to get 60% done. 60%.
Now, the Black House is after he gets older, and he blocked everything that happened to him when he was in the territories, when he was a kid. He blocked all that out. But now it's coming back. So this sounds a lot better than that. Now, is there a book that you're looking forward to that's in the library or something? I don't mean that's coming out next year.
Well, I was trying to get it at the library here, but they don't carry any of Bentley Little's new books, and this came out like 6 months ago. So a DMV by Bentley Little, I really want to read. Imagine your worst horror story at the Department of Motor Vehicles. Mm-hmm. And I've been waiting for a while. There's no library even in the state that carries his books.
Huh.
And that annoyed me.
You would think that they would carry his instead of Jack Ketchum's.
Yeah. Anybody that's read Bentley, he has a certain way he writes.
Right.
And, if you've read the story of the association, you kind of have an idea how he kind of throws things way out in the deep end.
Right. But Jack Ketchum, when he writes, his is more like that gore.
Mm-hmm.
But they're based on true stories.
Yeah, and I do like Jack Ketchum a lot.
Mary's laughing at DMV.
Yeah, think of your worst thing that could ever happen at the DMV and times it by 1,000.
Being locked in with zombies. That's my worst thing. Well, one of the ones I can't wait to read that I have is from the son of Jim Butcher, which is
Okay.
James J. Butcher. And this is the second book of his series. I already read his first book. I might have to reread it though. And this is from the Unorthodox Chronicles called The Long Past News.
I've seen that at the library, but I'd never read the first one yet. But his dad, I've read almost all of his dad's series.
Right. And you have a love-hate relationship with him.
It depends on the book.
Right. Just
Some
like
books I really like, and the other ones, it's like, I wish they would have either taken this out or added this to it type deal. And what got me into his books was that TV show, The Dresden Files.
Right. That's what got me into it.
Yep.
Now, here's the author that I just got that I never read. I've never read this author. But it's a book. It's book one of the Witness trilogy, and it's called "The God Is Not Willing" by Stephen Harrison.
Yeah, never heard of him.
I've been watching now Ian over on B&B. He's talked about him here recently, and Matt, I can't think of his channel name, but he bragged about Steve Harrison as one of the best in fantasy. I'm trying to move this book around so the thing ain't kicking it, but it sounds okay. As many years have passed since three warriors brought carnage and chaos to Silver Lake, now the tribes of the north no longer venture into the Southland. The town has recovered, and yet the legacy remains. So I did not read all that. I just read a portion of it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Amy. And Mary loved the Dresden Files.
And if you like the Dresden Files, that's loosely based off his books.
Well, if you love the Dresden Files, don't forget to pick up James J. Butcher, which is the son of Jim Butcher, because this series, I read the first series, and it was a good book. So, I mean, to me, this one was a little bit better than, the first book of that series was a little bit better than Jim Butcher's writing. Hey, Nelson. So if anybody's read Steve Harrison, let me know what you think of him. Is he good? Is he mediocre? Is he bad? What do you think of him? And Dustin says he listened to a few of the Dresden Files. Was good. That's cool. So is there any other book that you're thinking about for 2025?
Tell the truth, I haven't even looked on the library website to see what they had. I just happened to be there last week and saw that the one on your shelf I'm the only one that's actually took an interest in it. So that should be here sometime this week. And
yeah, you'll be reading that in December.
Yeah, it depends on the time I have, but I'll hopefully reading it in December. And then the new Preston and Child book, Angel of Vintage, because there's only one book out of his whole series I've missed. And tell the truth, I don't remember what it is, but I love his books. Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child, they both write separately, and they do write together.
I can guarantee you one thing. If you walk out of of your place without that book, by the time you get back, Aaron's going to already have it read.
I'm sure of that. He's been bored trying to figure out what to do until he find out what's going on. So Yeah, I'll give her a day or two. She'll have it read. I guarantee it.
I don't read that fast.
If you want to, you can.
I think you would read that fast because it's Kim Harrison and you haven't got to read any of the new. It's a newer since the last new one.
I just tell her try harder. You can do it in like 36 hours.
Oh, shut up.
Now, here's something that I want everybody to pay attention to. So now this is about some shows I want to do next year. And I want co-hosts. Okay? And co-host has to be willing to do sprints. Where where I'll be on your channel, you'll be on my channel doing sprints.
I can't run that fast.
But the next thing you can, now the title of the book don't matter. I am going to put Stephen King on the book of words. And for January, whatever that picks, that's going to be a read along for me. But the read along I'm doing is you can pick up any Stephen King book, and it counts. And then after we read it, we'll do a live show like this and talk about it. I'll talk about the book I read. You talk about the book you read, and see how they venture as far as.
Question: can it be in the family like Joe Hill's his son?
No.
I have to throw that out there.
I shouldn't say something. Rereads don't count.
I never thought about that because I was planning on doing some rereading.
You know how it is about rereading. Come on.
I reread all my books numerous times. Matter of fact, the Kim Harrison books, I read them like 3-4 times, the whole series. So it shouldn't count because you're telling the same, you're giving the same,
yeah, but
whatchamacallit over and over again.
It's been a while.
Okay, I can go with that though. I can go with no rereads because now this here ain't a reread for me. I've never read it. Now some of those I'm going to might be a reread, but I haven't read it since the 70s.
Well, those of us who have known you for years would know what a reread is for you.
Right. A reread for me is in the same, and within the first 3 years of it.
How about we take a medium? If he hasn't read it since Ohio, then it'll come.
That's been what, 14 years ago?
Well, then it'll come. But yeah, I'm just saying a lot of the books that King has, I have not read, but I've watched the movies.
Right. Now, Amy asked, she said, my favorite Hollows character is James. What are yours?
Tell the truth, I've only read one of the books, and I can't spoil it because it's a book he hasn't got up to yet.
I like Ivy.
She's more of the Ivy fan.
Ivy's good. Jace is good. But I have to go with the main character.
Rachel.
Yeah.
She just seems like a lady that you just want to hang out with and party.
When he gets to the end of the next book, then he'll know how my favorite conniving character is.
Yeah, you read that book before I did. So
I know I did. I actually read it.
Oh, they got this character and this character. I like this character. I'm like, who's the character? I can't tell you.
I forgot what platform I was on. Okay, Justin says, I got a couple small stories in the mail today. They are both about center of the earth worlds and civilization living inside. Now, my question is, Dustin, is any of them Edgar Rice Burroughs? Because he's known for those Center of the Earth books.
I remember Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Uh-huh. And then Amy, come on. Amy said which is that is cool. So if anybody wants to do a Stephen King read along with me, it's gonna be all year round. Each month we pick a different book, and I'm gonna put mine on the wheel over. That way you guys can watch as it rolls and what it is. And another one that I'm going to be going that read along with is another read along that I'm going to be doing is middle of the, well, not middle of the night, but is the book of the month. And that does not mean that you have to have a book of the month here or here. It just means if you don't know what book of the month has out, ask me and a private message. I got a bunch of them. And I just picked this guy, Ronnie Thacker, and he is becoming one of my favorite thriller writers.
And I will say that most of the stuff you get for your book of the month clubs, you can get them at most local libraries.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Riley Sager, but I have not read anything completely through. I've started one book like 12 times and never, and then I had to return it because something came up. But I heard nothing but good things. The author of the last book you just showed.
Yeah, but do you remember the name of the book that you
one of the first ones. I don't remember it offhand, but I could look it up.
Yeah, that's like me. I could tell you what mine is. The first one I read is, and the other guy doesn't know the name of it. And Dustin says, yes, the coming race and the smoky god of the wage of the world. Awesome. Amy says, I'm sorry, Paul, I'm not a fan of King. I know I am bringing King to my state of name. It's okay. There's a lot of people that don't like King.
His movies, but not his books. I've read 1.5 of his books.
I mean, I like his older stuff, but his newer stuff I consider crap. Even though I have some of his newer stuff. And I've enjoyed some of his newer stuff, but not as much as the older stuff.
Amy's just hating on Bangor, Maine, his hometown.
And he said, he booked insomnia, let me just think, well, then you don't have insomnia.
Well, I will say I've read that cover to cover. It took me a while, and there were a lot of slow parts, but at the end, I did like it. So I can agree because that's a long book.
Yeah, and that's on my ADR stuff.
You have to be dedicated to finish that book. I'll agree with that one.
And Mary's laughing at Amy, and Mary said hi to Dustin. Okay, now those are the two things I want to do. These read-alongs I want, if you join me in any of them. And the thing is, any thriller would be good for but mainly that's what I get from them is a thriller. So I would say book up for any thriller.
Okay.
And Mary said, "Oh, Amy, I like insomnia." She has insomnia. And Dustin says, "Hi, Mary." Amy says, "I have rolled out reading PPE start stand someday, but we will see." I like the stand.
Yeah, I got a question. Is that the regular version of the stand or the unabridged version? Because the unabridged is another like 300 pages.
Right. I'm trying to catch up on that. And Amy said, "Oops, typo." Oh, guys, I missed it. I haven't rolled out reading PPE someday, but we will see. And she says, "Oops, typo." And there says, "Paul, does Frostbite have a channel?" Yes, Frostbite has a channel, and he can name it off.
Yeah, it's a homeless couple in Minnesota. And then today I actually changed it at the name. If you see Frostbite at the end, then you know it's me.
Okay. And Mary says, "I like Swan Song over the singing." A lot of people saying that, but I've never read Swan Song, so I can't say it.
Did you see that's the example I was trying to make. Swan Song I picked up like 35 different times. I've never gotten past page 100. Not that I don't like it. It's that you got to be dedicated. It's a long book.
Right. And Mary says, "Okay, HCIM." So that's your name now. Paul is HCIM. Now, next month, I am reading the 3-month series. If anybody wants to join me on that, we could do a buddy read or a read along on that if you want to, without having a live show afterwards. But I know it's a classic, and I know a lot of people read it, probably. I know I read it back in 40, 50 years ago. You know, that's terrible to say. I can remember my childhood plain as day. And for me to say 40 to 50 years ago, I'm like, when did I get that old?
Yeah, and I'm not saying there's anything good or bad, but he would. Paul's a little older than me. Yes, my name's Paul too. He's a little older, so he's more into like I'd say Three Musketeers, Tarzan, maybe Lone Ranger. I don't know if you're into that.
Lone Ranger.
So yeah, there's a few years difference, so it's just a different generation gap. That's all. I just never got into them because it was before my time.
Right. Amy says, "Oh, you and the wifey sub to me. Thank you, Frostbite."
Yep, I try to hit everybody. Because there's always that one book or that one thing somebody will talk about you missed, and then it's like, oh shoot, I just watched it now, and I could have watched it and read it 6 months ago.
Right. Now, if you can go to Mary's and I know she don't do nothing on her channel, but I think you can still, and that way she can find yours a lot easier.
Yeah, let me get to the chat, and I'm going to make sure I get everybody too. Because like I said, I have not, I'll have to get it after live, but
Okay.
I have not read anything all year. I just haven't, it's just one of those times I just haven't had an inkling to. And now that I'm thinking about it, now I got all this other stuff going on.
Right. Now, in 2025, I am looking forward to reading 20 years later from Alexander Dumas. This is 20 years after the Human.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it.
That's the second book in the 4-book series.
I'll make a New Year's resolution now. In 2025, I will not read any political books.
This is not political.
I didn't say it was. It has to do with history, so it almost could be.
Because when you have kings and queens, there ain't no politics in it. You do exactly what they say, or you lose your head. But
Then they do a horse.
This is one of the ones from Alexander Dumas. But like I said, I'm going to read 3 months series in December. Another one I'm going to pick up is the 3rd book in the 4-book series, which I did not know that it was part of the series. I've loved the movie about this. I've read it back when I was probably 10 years old. And it's from Alexander Dumas, The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, I have heard of it. I had to read it. I I have to be honest here. I tried reading it and it bored me. That's just me. I'm not saying nobody else hates it,
Right.
but when I would read it in school, I fell asleep trying to read it. But that's just me.
Right. But I've enjoyed the movies and the book, but I did not know that this was the third book in the Three Musketeers.
I didn't know that either.
So
I will say 2 years ago was the first time I ever read Macbeth.
yeah,
And it was actually, I found a comic book version of it.
Movie out of it.
Yeah, I watched the movie after I read the comic book version. It's like, I had no interest in it until I started reading those books of the Sandman.
yeah,
Because the Sandman usually has one chapter where he talks about Shakespeare and what he's done. And that got me into reading it because I always heard controversy behind Macbeth. So I was like, I got to read it. And finally found it.
Now the fourth book in the Three Musketeers series is The Man in the Iron Mask.
I saw that movie. I used to own that movie. I
I
loved it.
love the movie.
Yeah, she loves the movie. I've never read
I've never read
the book.
I've never read it, but I love the movie. I did not like the new movie.
I have not seen the new one. The one we saw had Leonardo, I think, in it. DiCaprio. Okay. No, well, that was my first experience, so I didn't mind it.
I refuse to watch anything with Leonardo in it.
Well,
I don't like him.
well, you don't have to read any more by him because he was in the Titanic and it kind of sunk.
I thought that he did a better job in that movie than he did in Titanic.
Well,
Titanic, he had a small role and it kind of sunk anyway.
He was Titanic, you bonehead.
yeah, I mean, everybody has their favorite stuff. Even no matter how bad they are. And Mary put up Mary put up your.
Thank you. And yes, I'm going to hopefully get more into the book thing. I tried doing other stuff, but it's just frustrating what I've tried to do or share out. Now, I never was into it, but I figure I put a lot of effort in it. It's like, oh, that was stupid. I feel dumb about getting all political, and that's what it was last year. After seeing both sides, it's like I'm done.
And Elena's going to go do her rowing that she's supposed to be doing. So you have fun, Elena. Mary says, if anyone wants to subscribe to Frostbite, there's his.
So hopefully you'll look forward to see me at least showing off more books when I get a chance to read them. Not sure, but I'm hoping to show off more.
But I got tired of being non-paid because I lost the. I was paying, and then I lost it because I didn't have no money on my card. And I went back to the freebie, and I cannot stand the freebie no more. I need to tell us today I went and paid for the upgrade.
Yeah, just like I have nothing against Paul. He doesn't like Kindle. I like it. That's just different.
I don't like Kindle. Ebooks gives me a headache and migraine.
Yeah. Now I'm just saying it's just a different way to read it. You have your PDF, you have your Kindle. Some people like it, some don't.
Mary says, number 329 here. I will explore your channel and leave. He's higher than I am now.
And don't be afraid to put a negative comment. I like all comments. Don't worry about putting anything negative because most of the time I admit sometimes I make mistakes. I say the wrong thing. So if you hear something, don't get mad if you leave anything negative. You don't agree. Nobody's perfect.
Okay. Now the last three books I'm going to talk about is fantasies. And they're books that I'm looking forward to reading in 2025. So Amy, a year or so ago, I read what was it? I read Oh, I can't remember. Told you I'm old. I can't remember. I read Battle
Okay.
And the thing is, I enjoyed it. I can still remember what happened in the book, even though it's been years ago. So I read out about the other two that goes with it by Stephen Marion, which is Blood Mage, the second book. And it is high fantasy. And the third one, I'm looking forward to is Chaos Mage, which is the third book in his series. Now he does have a duology out that people that I heard talking about it that they don't care for. But they like thing is, I never heard nobody talk about it until I read it and mentioned it. I mean, they mentioned it. So I don't know if people was talking that it wasn't going to be. But right now, I have to say Steve Harrison is my favorite fantasy author because he's the one that got into fantasy. Mary said, "Don't worry." Leaves the moon. Mary said, "I'm not buying any books for 2025." Good luck with that. I said the same thing about 2024.
Well, the thing is, I'll say the same thing, and I'll walk by a free library, look in the back, and I want to read this book, and it's free.
I ain't buying them.
Exactly.
And this book, I just read the first book of this one, which was Empire of the Vampire. This one is Empire of the Vampire, which is the second book by James Crystal. And I love how the title is Lost or whatever you call it out. So I'm looking forward to those 3 books mainly in 2025. And Mary said that 3 books is not buying.
Well, I'll put it this: the library used to have books they gave away every couple months for free, but now they changed it where the paperback are a quarter and the hardcover are 50 cents. Well, for a quarter or 50 cents, if I see one, I'm going to grab it.
Right. I have over 200 books I've won off of Goodreads over the years. I'm embarrassed by how many I haven't read. Well, I got around 400 books I haven't read, and I'm still buying.
Yeah, I had 150, and then Erica had over 100 by 2 different authors. So we understand that. But I was the one that had picked it up, got back to it 6 months, a year later. She's the one that read all 14 books or a whole series in like a month.
And she don't read that.
Nope.
14 books in a month is pretty fast.
She reminds me of my brother during a video game session. If it's a game he really likes, he'll forget to eat, he'll forget to sleep and anything until she finishes either a certain chapter or the whole book. That's just the way it is. Me, I can't do that. Darn it, I'm starving. I'm putting it down. I'm eating something.
I splurged on, Amy said I splurged on the illustrated editions.
But someone could get killed during that time, Cole.
And Mary said 2025 is the year I read it. Yeah, that's good. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And pictures only count if it's a comic book.
And Mary says her Kindle is loaded too.
Yeah, I'm starting to get there myself.
Dustin says that's why Paul is always doing work on the house, adding rooms for true.
Yeah.
I got books in this room. I got books in my other room.
Yeah, I used to go outside or put a thing in the hallway. Is anybody giving away a bookcase? No, I'd have multiple. I think we had a total of 4 or 5 bookcases that were full. 5 bookcases that were full of books. And we could have, if we had more room, I would have got more. Well, we know Paul, he's still got books in his garage he's never got to.
Well, not in the garage, it's in the building out there.
Somewhere in the house.
He's got it near the dogs. He put it in the roof. Put it in the roof.
That's what's weird. People around here, they spell their name R-U-F-F, but they still say roof instead of roof. And I'll get them there because that is not roof, that's rough. Hyena, I said, roof, it's R-O-O-F, like the top of the house.
See, Paul would have a big discussion. All he has to do is teach his 2 dogs to read. He could have a huge.
Yeah, I got Jim and Jim over there. I say that reads along with me, which is a small statue, a bust, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
That's what I said to my son Bobby before he died. So.
Just get bedtime stories for dogs, and you'd have a huge channel.
Now, I will say that sometimes the dogs will come in and watch books with me. I'm going to reread the Lord of the Rings trilogy on December, and like 2025 is very much more grim, dark fantasy and sci-fi. Okay, that sounds good. That's one thing I've never read is the Lord of the Rings. But then again, but like I said, Jay Kristoff is the one that got me into fantasy. And I didn't read him till like a year or so ago. So pretty much I was in my 60s already before I started enjoying fantasy.
And anybody that's got TV or have the Paramount Network, they're doing a series on Dune. It's a brand new series. It's not going to be a movie. It's going to be a series after the second movie.
No, it's on Max.
Or on Max, my fault. On Cinemax. There's going to be like a 3rd book, but they're going to break it into a series and do it just on Dune, but it doesn't start.
Skip the second book?
Yeah, it's after the second book finishes, they start the series, and it's not going to be in book form. It's going to be in like little novel form after the TV series is over.
Because I got the second book there with the Dune Messiah, and everybody said it's
I personally found it real slow, but that's me.
And Amy says, yes, Dune. I'm going to be reading Dune here real shortly, sometime this year. Dune Messiah.
I still haven't seen the second movie, so I don't know how it is, but we did.
If you read the book, the second movie is just the second half of that book.
Oh, okay. See, I've never read the book, so.
Dune Prophecy, that's like the 3rd book.
Do you remember the name of that Dune show?
Oh, God.
Was it Prophecy or called something else?
Yeah, Prophecy.
Yeah, Prophecy. She's got it right. Dune Prophecy is actually book, or supposedly the 3rd one. But they broke it into a TV series.
Well, I know Dune Messiah is the second. And according to the list of Dune, Canon of Dune is the 3rd book. And I don't see Dune Prophecy. And I got the first 1, 2, 4, 5. I got the first 5 books of Dune, and that is Prophecy.
Yeah, it might take time. It might be like a Star Wars thing where it takes place way in the future, because all the Star Wars stuff came out in different orders.
But the thing is, Frank wrote like 5 books. Then his son and the other guy took them.
Okay.
And they did a lot of the stuff that happened before. But I got Frank that he did. I think Frank and his son did a couple before he died. So Amy said I was this many years old when I discovered there was more than one book. And how many years old? Oh, just now. There's a lot of hard cases, doing hard cases that will not even with Frank's son and the other guy because they died, and they won't read.
Yeah, up until 5 years ago, I thought Dune was the only one that was ever out there. I didn't know there was a second one.
She's in her 50s and she's only thought that, well, you are as bad as from Frostbite here. He's, I ain't gonna say his age.
52.
Huh?
He's 52.
I'm as old as there are weeks in the year.
52.
Yep. And the Dune thing, it's all new to me. I mean, I never knew there was more than one. I always thought it was one book and that was it. I thought that was the only thing he ever wrote.
No, he wrote 5 himself, and he had help with the last couple before he died. And then, like I said, himself. And the guy, I guess the guy that helped him did do some Star Wars novels, but they really forget about him in Star Wars. That's because I'm going to watch the movie that came out a year ago sometime to see how it compares to the book. But I gotta say that I thought there was a movie that came out in the 80s that
Yeah, there was, but it wasn't the same movie.
But it was based on the book.
It was,
Is that remake with Batista and then they did a part 2 or?
no, it was, remember that one was Sylvester Stallone where he played a cop or whatever? He was a real asshole in the movie.
I don't remember. What was the name of it?
Dune.
Oh, it was.
Well,
Really? I didn't know
Well,
that.
the one I'm talking about was supposed to be based on the book, and it was a desert scenery.
Yeah, the Dune is all the desert stuff.
Yeah, but back with Sylvester Stallone, his name was his character's name was Judge Dune.
Oh, we're talking about the actual.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
So it's kind of confusing.
Anyway,
Too many Dunes.
Amy says, I'm 53. My husband is also 52. He is not a reader. He is a destroyer of silence with drums. So he likes his drums.
Well, that's one way you can take off frustration. You just hit the drums.
Right? Now, people, I'd like to know what you think. You guys like stuff like we're doing tonight? Just talking about books? Because we can actually pick up books that we've already read and talk about what we thought of them, good, bad, and then hear a bunch of book crap or whatever. Because I have read some books that is a bunch of book crap.
There's always that one book that nobody can stand.
Everybody comes across the book.
I mean, there's a bunch of bull crap, then bad. Then what did she say? She said something up. I missed it.
I said everybody comes across a book they don't like.
Are you sure? Yeah.
And if anybody wants to be up here on panel at any time, let me know. And make sure that we can get in touch with each other on a different platform. That way I can send you the link. And I'm hoping that people will join me in the read-alongs down here of King. And the reason why I'm doing the Muff Club is I got 2 shelves over there of Muff Club. I got 1 shelf in here that I've already read. That's book of the Muff Club.
Well, I'm just glad they don't have a book of the week club, because then you'd have more books.
And as people can see, they got my internet fixed where it ain't buffering 24/7. Oh, I was having a picture day yesterday. I wanted to do a live run because I was doing a live yesterday. But the news is friend. Every few seconds, it's just buffering. And I'm like, I can't do it like that. It's not fair to me, and it's not fair to anybody watching. So I just put up a thing, and I can't do it until it starts in. So today we've had a great day with the internet, so I decided to do this and see if it's going to mess. This looks good. They got it for you. Yeah, they got it for you. And remember, I'm still trying to do Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at noon reading sprints. So if anybody wants to join me, I'm hoping to do it in that 5 years away. And when you're 61, the bathroom will it seems like that's when your bladder and prostate and then start drinking. And when you hit your
Oh, he always has a backup orchestra. He has his 2 dogs, so they make their own music.
But if anybody likes this idea, let me know, because we can talk about any book or any book that we want to, even if we read it. I mean, like if we read them years ago and still remember, we can talk about them. And he says, I only have a hotspot to access the internet. It works kind of, not sure how well it reads. Often looks fuzzy without pad streams. Past streams.
Yeah, I understand that, because for a while I had to do hotspots only. The good thing, almost every place here has a Wi-Fi, but you get too far away from the hotspot, and then you could interfere with a different one. It's just weird. If you don't have internet, you got to work with hotspots. It's just a pain in the butt, unless you're sitting right at a certain area.
I actually got that laptop. Is either this one or the last one I had, where I could stay in the car and my sister could drive straight down through town, and I would never lose it because it would jump from one up to another automatically, and I would never lose it.
Yeah, yeah, just like I take the bus here, whenever it goes over a bridge, you lose the hotspot for that few seconds, and then it comes.
I didn't pay attention to the bridge.
Or if you're driving through a tunnel, then you lose it for a few seconds.
But I mean, it's just weird how these hotspots work. I guess that's why they call hotspots.
They should just give everybody free Wi-Fi, and we wouldn't have to worry about it.
Okay, well, if anybody don't have anything else to talk about, we're going to wrap this up. Been on for about an hour, almost an hour. But it's only 6:59, and let's see. It says I live in an area where there is no broadband, and the dialogue just don't cut it. Okay.
They need to make more towers, is what it is. She's too remote.
And Mary says this was nice. And Amy says thank you for hosting. So let me know if you enjoy stuff like this, because I'm sure Paul don't mind coming back and talking about books. Maybe you'll find other stuff out that you didn't know, or maybe you can let us know something about the books that we didn't know.
And the next couple days, I'm going to be over in that area because it's only, well, it's 10 blocks away, but the last 3 blocks are all almost straight uphill. So luckily I take the bus, or it'd be a pain getting back and forth.
Yeah, that sounds like it. And you guys are welcome. Thank you for showing up and being part of this. And I like to start doing stuff like this more in 2025. But I like to know what the people think.
Yeah, it all depends on the time of day for me. It's my schedule's kind of wonky now.
Well, anytime I do it, when between 6 and 8.
Yeah, at night it works better. The days and afternoons are kind of wonky.
Yeah. So that's when the live streams we're talking about books, or like when we do the read alongs, those top shows about those books will be later in 6 and 8. I don't want to get too late when they won't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Mary.
Yeah, take care, Mary.
So you guys take care, and we had a great time. Well, I had a great time, and me and Paul used to do this all the time back in the old days. What was that last year?
Yeah, and if you hear anybody in the background, that's my wife.
Yeah. If you hear anything running in my background, it's a dog from the and it's my sister looking at me for not doing it. Because I was too busy reading. Books gets me in trouble. So, yeah, take care, and I'll see everybody soon. And if not, have a good one.
Okay.